I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring a groundbreaking revelation that could redefine humanity's future. The name of the book, Evolution of Humanity Unveiled, a primer. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Ira Palmer, and he introduces us to the concept of the kingdom of souls, an advanced, incorruptible force offering to guide humanity through its greatest challenges. If you're searching for answers to deep-rooted problems of war, injustice, and deception, this book presents a fascinating new perspective. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Good River Print and Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Ira, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure, sir. Your book is wonderful. It introduces us to the concept of the kingdom of souls. Could you explain to us what it is and how it connects to humanity?
Well, there are seven kingdoms. Above the human kingdom is the kingdom of souls, the spiritual hierarchy of this planet. They invisibly work behind the scenes to influence evolution on this planet. And they consist of some of the most renowned, most advanced people to walk the earth, including Jesus, Count Saint Germain, Reiko C, uh, Dwal Kul, and Maitreya, the head of that group, who is the Christ. He overshadowed Jesus, just as Jesus overshadowed Muhammad, just as the Buddha overshadowed Prince Gautama. Prince Gautama then became Gautama Buddha as the Christ overshadowed Jesus, and Jesus became Jesus Christ. So it's very complicated in terms of our traditional understanding of the journey on earth. We are one of the five non-sacred planets. There are seven sacred planets, and that includes Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Neptune, and Vulcan, Uranus and Vulcan. Vulcan is a planet closest to the sun. And so the idea of locating Venus was quite a challenge. I mean, Vulcan is quite a challenge because you can damage the optic nerve by looking too closely at the sun. Vulcan is also an invisible planet. There are invisible planets, there are invisible suns. So I'm going to open the door to a number of concepts that may contest your knowledge of the universe as we understand it. And it's going to open your eyes to a different idea with regard to how we function in the universe, how we evolve on planet Earth.
Where did these concepts come from?
These concepts have been out there for millions of years. We've been on planet Earth 18.5 million years. It started in Lemuria, which is now part of under the Pacific Ocean. It turns out that there was volcanic activity during the 6 million years we were in Lemuria, and Australia, New Zealand, Easter Island, Hawaii, and the Philippines were mountainous areas in Lemuria, and they are now the islands around the Pacific Ocean. So we spent that time in largely animal bodies. So the depiction of the Charles Darwin concept of animal man coming out of a separate species
Mm.
of the animal kingdom is correct. That is the personality vehicle. But the soul, they talk nothing, he talks nothing about the soul. The soul comes from a previous solar system
Mhm.
that is very advanced. So, in a mysterious way, we're actually two beings in one.
Mm.
Over time, we close that gap. We, as the master from Venus says, uh, for billions of years, the keynote to our evolution has been know thyself. And for a billion years in the future, it will still be that to know thyself. So we're in the process of identification with and union with the soul.
Mm.
It takes time, a long time for that to occur. It's taken us 18.5 million years, and we've only produced perhaps 1,000 people who have graduated from planet Earth and are now part of the spiritual kingdom.
Mm.
So that is our birthright, that is our destiny. We can take as long as we like, but there are certain things that you can do to enable that process to advance more quickly.
Mm.
And Maitreya, who's the head of that group, says practice honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment. By honesty of mind, he means that what we think, what we say, and what we do should be, in his words, a straight line. But if we're honest with ourselves, we know that oftentimes we think one thing, say another, and do something else.
Mhm.
When that happens, the soul knows that it has a lot of work ahead.
Yeah.
And by sincerity of spirit, he means to talk to your friends and acquaintances as though you're talking to a best friend with whom you withhold nothing.
Mm.
You talk to them knowing that they know you and they can read your thoughts in many instances. So he's saying that talk to other people that way also. Be honest with people. Be your real self without any disguise. Detachment is a difficult process because we're attached to so much in the material world,
Mm.
matter, precious stones, uh, gold, silver. All of that is a distraction from what is our true journey to become more and more spiritual. And we do that by meditation is which is the age-old royal road for contact and eventual union with your soul.
Mm.
There are a lot of misconceptions with regard to death. We are immortal. We uh, we think we're about to die from a heart attack or a stroke, and then we see someone that we know is deceased.
Mm.
We rub our eyes and say, that can't be
Mm.
Aunt Susie because she died a long time ago. But there she is in all her glory.
Mm.
And you can see her. And it turns out that the soul has cut the cord to the heart on the right side, not
Mm.
on the left, on the right side, and to the brain. And then you pass out through the crown chakra at the top of the head.
Mm.
See your body there, perhaps in the intensive care room, and you feel wonderful. You want to speak to your relatives crying their hearts out, but they can't see you. They can't hear you because you don't have the tools of a physical body. And
Mm.
so you pass through the crown chakra at the top of the head. You feel wonderful. And then Aunt Susie steps forward and tells you it's going to be a grand adventure.
Hmm.
And you're gonna have a homecoming, seeing your relatives that you thought were dead that are very much alive, and they are ready to welcome you to this new, invisible, etheric, primary world. And actually, you can have some experience of that now with your 5-year-old. I talked to an African American family a few weeks back, and they said their 5-year-old described a world that was so different and so much more beautiful than the terrestrial world that we call the everyday world. And he described some things he could not have seen in this lifetime. So they were interested in what I had to say. I said, "How do you respond to your son when he talks of these colors that are different from the colors now?"
Yeah.
And the mother said, "Well, we love him so much and he's has a lot of gifts, but we believe him." I said, "Oh, you do? That's wonderful. And what about does he have playmates that he can see that you cannot see?" She said, "Yes, he went through that as well."
Hmm.
And so often we see, I was the director of an evaluation clinic, and we would evaluate children with known or suspected developmental problems,
Mhm.
diagnose those problems at early intervention treatment services. So a lot of these kids can see playmates,
Wow.
gnomes, goblins, sprites that
Mhm.
we can't see.
Yeah.
And the mom makes the mistake sometimes of telling the child, "Honey, that's just your imagination. You got to come in and do your homework now."
Hmm.
Instead of saying to him, "Invite your friend to come into the home and help you with your homework because you know you got to be ready for tomorrow." So kids can see them. We can't. But when we are approaching transition or what we call death, we can see a deceased relative with our eyes. My grandfather pointed out to my mother 9 of his brothers in the room the night before he transitioned.
Wow.
My mother uh, saw my brother who had transitioned at 59. He worked at IBM as an executive with IBM, but he died at an early age at 59, and she could see him.
Hmm.
And I said, "Mom," I said, you know, what, what did you think when you saw him?" And she said, "Well, you're going to have to give up one of the bedroom because he usually sleeps in that room."
That's
I kind of,
amazing.
I kind of laughed.
It's a great, hopeful message. My mother was the same way when she passed, days before she died. All of her relatives who had passed were visiting with her. We could not see them. She could. She had wonderful conversations with them. By the time she passed, she was literally sitting on the side of the bed with her pocketbook in her hand, saying, "I'm ready to go." Like she really was embracing it like a wonderful adventure. So
Yeah.
it is absolutely amazing. It absolutely is a hope-filled message. Your book also suggests that humanity is at a crossroads. What are
Yes.
some of these key problems that we must solve, and how can the kingdom of souls help?
Well, first of all, they say that humanity is one.
Hmm.
There is no separation. It is the biggest lie that we can tell. We've gone through all the races many times.
Mhm.
Some of the evidence is, as I said earlier, at the bottom of the ocean. We went through the submergence of Atlantis. The Atlantic Ocean is named after Atlantis. And we have been African, or you have been African American, I have been white, we've been red, brown, yellow. All the races we've occupied many times. We've been male, all men have been women, all women have been men.
Mhm.
So you've got to get over this if we are going to survive, if we're going to advance to our potential. And they are now giving us a new form of meditation that constitutes a, a service to the world. We It's called transmission meditation. It's covered in my book, but it's more of a service to humanity. When we meditate, we are asking the masters to use us as a vehicle
Mhm.
to step down cosmic energies that are typically too high to be absorbed by humanity. But when those energies pass through the Ajna center between the eyebrows, they are stepped down to benign levels that can provide nourishment for people around the world who are barely eking out a living, who live from paycheck to paycheck. And as you know, we're going through that now.
Mhm.
So it's significant. The masters are custodians of all the energies streaming into our planet. Most of those energies are too high. So they pass those energies through our Ajna center between the eyebrows. They pass through the other chakras and I step down. So you're actually saving lives. The masters are using those step down energies to provide prana, step down energies that constitute nourishment.
Mhm.
So a family that's fleeing violence, rapists, barely have time to get out the home and
Mhm.
flee. They they can sometimes last for weeks without any nourishment whatsoever. So you're creating karma of merit, and it's a big service. And at the same time, you're raising your vibration because every time you meditate, they raise the vibration. It's a group meditation, so you have to have at least three people to practice this form of meditation. And if you have three people, a triangle, four people, four triangles, five people, 10 triangles. So the numbers make a difference. But this meditation is special,
Mhm.
and no other meditation can claim that it provides a service to humanity, but you're actually saving lives. And the more you do it, the more you look forward to it because it improves your focus, your concentration, and achievement equals focus and concentration. People come to me and say, Ira, I'm not a good candidate for this because my mind works 100 miles an hour. I said, that's how you know you need it.
Mhm.
But you start where you are and just give as much as you can. Whenever your mind filters off, uh, you just think Om, and that brings it back to the Ajna center between the eyebrows.
Mhm.
And you continue this. You'll get to the point that you're doing several hours a week. And when you start doing that, you start noticing a change within you. You, your eyes don't flicker from one thing to another as much, and you start to feel a comforting reassurance because you're contacting your soul, the many God within you, as Maitreya calls it.
Mhm.
Jesus calls it the kingdom of heaven within you. So you have this mysterious being that you're getting to know. And I tell people in my groups to talk to your soul through your thoughts. There are four levels to the mental plane. The soul is on the highest of the four levels. The brain is on the lowest. So as you meditate, you start to build an anakarana or a bridge from itself down to the brain. And if you focus on it long enough, regularly, you build that bridge between your brain and your soul. And I tell my friends, my meditators, to talk to your soul. You can do it through thought. And just as I did once, I said, uh, it's a privilege working with you. You must have a sense of humor because I screw up a lot, and you've been very patient with me.
Mm.
And I want you to know how much I appreciate your guidance during this stage of my life.
Mm.
And then when I got ready to go to bed, I felt the most extraordinary sensation I'd ever felt in my life. It was like energy spinning around me, and it just felt so amazing.
Mm.
My brother and I have gone to several of Benjamin Crimm's lectures.
Mhm.
I notice you have an accent that sounds like Benjamin. He's from Scotland, and for 94 years he was editor-in-chief of Share International magazine and website, and an extraordinary painter known worldwide. Some of his paintings hanging in the most prestigious museums around the world. And but he was an esotericist. He had contact with an ascended master. That's a master who has taken the five initiations for mastery. That means that you don't come back to Earth in a new body, lifetime after lifetime, but you start to work on cosmic initiations. There are four of those. So the highest being a nine. So we're on a journey in which we will eventually become perfected. The the five initiations include um, the baptism in the River Jordan, the transfiguration, the crucifixion or renunciation, and then the transfiguration. The the starting point for those five steps is the uh, birth of the Christ principle in the cave of the heart, as it's said in the Bible. So this is where you start to see everyone as a brother or sister. And that love is what is so drastically needed in the world today.
Yeah.
And of course, we recognize in the Matthews of the Bible, it says that those who have lots of love will attract more love.
Mm.
And those who have little love, even that little love will be taken away.
Mm.
But some people on the planet have taken it, has construed that to mean money. And it's not about money, it's about love. So uh, Maitreya said, he was asked, why is he coming at this time? He says, I come to release you from the bondage of your self-imposed limitations and to take you with me back to God. I shall show you, he says, that through right distribution of the earth's manifold resources, all men may enjoy God's bounty. I shall show you, too, that the path to God is simple indeed. Your divine spark will become manifest through me. Let me do this work for you, my friends, he says. Let me take you into your divine heritage. I shall show you wonders of which you cannot dream.
Mm.
I shall release from your eyes the blindfold of ignorance. I shall drive from this earth forever the curse of hatred, the sin of separation. Say yea to my coming and
Mm.
be enfolded in the blessing of my love. So Maitreya says, do not chase after me. You will lose me. I want you to find the Maitreya within you, and that's the soul.
Mm.
So we're on a journey to discover our soul, our higher self, the kingdom of heaven within you. And as we become serious about that, we notice a welcome change that is happening in our love quotient. And we are able to focus better, whether you're into sports, you're into music, you're into ballet, you're into art, whatever you're into, it all boils down to focus and concentration.
Mm.
So once you start to make that contact, contact and eventual union with your soul, you will find the pathway ahead much easier to navigate. And I recommend that anyone consider meditation. And there are hundreds of forms of meditation,
Mm.
but transmission meditation is the highest. And it can last for several hours. We do 5 hours sometimes. And when you do 5 hours, you notice the difference. The way your eyes move,
Mm.
your focus, your concentration, the way you're able to manage stress in your lives. All of this is important to us in the journey toward becoming perfected,
Mm.
masters of life, masters of self. This is our birthright. It is our destiny. And the sooner we recognize that, the more we can take hold of our lives and become participants in our evolution, and beautiful things can occur.
Wonderful. Beautiful words, beautiful things can occur. Important advice, important life lessons here in this book and during this interview, of course. The name of the book is called Evolution of Humanity Unveiled, a primer. In it, Ira introduces us to the concept of the kingdom of souls, an advanced, incorruptible force offering to guide humanity through its greatest challenges. If you're searching for answers to deep-rooted problems like war, injustice, and deception, this book presents a fantastic and a fascinating new perspective. Ira, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Enjoyed speaking with you, sir. I appreciate your wisdom and your insight. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.